You know that one pod racer in Star Wars Episode 1 with the circular thing? That's what that looks like. We're leaving. We're leaving today. We have a 20-minute light walk from the Airbnb to the train station, but a light walk turns infinitely more difficult when you're carrying my backpack over here, and it's like a biker gang. Well, we got here. Got coffee and food, waiting for our platform because we got here so early that our train actually doesn't have an assigned platform. So let me explain to you what we're doing. We're going on a train from Rome to Venice. It's a 4-hour train ride. And we're gonna be there for 2 nights, and then we're going to Florence for like 4. I'm really excited. As I was starting to work on this vlog on the train, I input the vlog number. I have done over 420 vlogs. Most of them have been with this camera. And because of that, I have some thoughts. It's really hot out here, but I think there's a little awning that can roll out, so I'm gonna try to do that right now. That's better. Back to this camera. Of those 400 vlogs, about 300 of them have been shot on this camera. Now, the lens has changed, the microphone has changed, but the camera body has stayed completely the same. Now, with this camera, there are things that I love, and there are some things that are they're not great, but I look past them because the things that I love are good. Let's start with the things that I love. First of all, that the camera is dependable. I put this camera in extreme temperatures, both hot and cold, and it's never once given me issues. I think it gave me the overheating warning one time when I was shooting in 4K 120 for like an hour, but past that, amazing camera. The second thing that I love is the dual native ISO. For those of you that don't know what that is, basically cameras have ISO levels that they perform best at, and this camera actually has 2. It has one down at 640 and one all the way up at 12,800. And what that means is this camera is just ridiculously good in low light. The microphone that I'm using is actually a digital interface. It's a Sony microphone, and the way it works is there's no audio cable, there's no analog whatsoever. It records in 48K 16-bit audio, and for anybody that knows anything about audio, that's really good. And then the flip LCD screen, something that you need if you're going to be shooting yourself, so you can make sure your framing's correct and you can actually see if you're in focus and all of that stuff. But like everything, there are also downsides, and a few things that I would change on this camera. Initially, programming buttons and everything else on the camera is a little cumbersome. Once you have them programmed, they're amazing, but it did take me about 2.5 hours when I first got the camera to program everything and get it working. The second thing is going to be the IBIS, or the in-body stabilization. It's not as good as Canon's, as much as I hate to say it. It doesn't have the wobbles like Canon's does, but it's not the best. Honestly, other than that, this is basically a near perfect camera. And the $1 million question is, would I recommend somebody that wants to do YouTube or shoot vlogs get this? And the answer is it's complicated. I think it just comes down to your budget. If you have a budget that can afford something expensive like this, where I have the Sony a7S III, the Sony 12-24 G Master f2.8 lens, and the Sony ECM B1M microphone, this whole package costs about $7,000. It's incredible, but it's also fantastically expensive. But the cool thing about Sony is they're also releasing different cameras all the time that are just fit every price point. There was actually another camera they just released that had the same sensor and pretty much the same internals from what I could see as this camera, just $1,000 cheaper. But like everything, it depends strictly on your workflow. If you want to check this camera out or any of the other Sony, I'll link a couple of them that I think are good down below in a couple of different price points so you can check them out yourself. I also don't think I mentioned the actual camera. I use the a7S III. I don't think I mentioned that. Look at this. When our landlady came, she told us that they have a washer and the dryer is the clothesline outside. If I'm being completely honest, half of our time is us walking around with our phones taking pictures of a couple of old people. We're shopping now. I think we're going to get dinner or walk around to try to find some dinner.
Thank you.